What's Jaden Higgins like off the field?
Yeah, I think the first thing that when you say that comes to my mind would just elite work ethic. From the day that he got to Iowa State, his visit was, it was the winter. We're coming off a rough season, and the reality, I think we knew what we needed and what we needed at the receiver position if we wanted to take a step forward. And I think to be able to communicate that to him during that process and then literally watch how he came in here and has gone to work. Man, he's a guy, it's late at night, we're leaving, and he's a guy that's still at this facility really working at his craft. And he's been that guy since the day that he arrived here at Iowa State. And it's been so rewarding to watch guys like that who really work at their craft to be able to get rewarded with the success they have on the football field. And he's got a great personality. He's a really great teammate. I think a guy that really came in here and fit in from day one. But, his personality and certainly his work ethic have just shown and shine really bright in our football program.
And Dom Orange, I remember when he was here early, he said it was probably hard to catch his breath after one or two snaps and to see how he's transformed his body. How hard is that to do when you're that big and still to maintain your power and explosiveness?
Yeah, I think Dom is certainly trending and is a guy that, in my opinion, has just grown so much off the field. And habits is really the word that probably is rightly used for Dom. And I mean, what he's done, honestly, from the end of last season to where he is now, it's all really been nutritional growth. And, he's done a great job he's always been strong, he's always been powerful, he's always been fast. But to be able to replicate that with consistency, he really went to work on his habits. And in the nutrition world, and I think he would rightly give a lot of credit to our nutrition team downstairs and the work that they put in with him. But I think what you've seen and the consistency you've seen him be able to play with has certainly been because of his habits have really changed in a positive way.
What have you seen from Houston on film?
Yeah, I think Houston probably in some ways, I know I talked about playing athleticism a week ago, and you're talking about, man, you look at what these guys have done both at Houston and in their careers at other places. This is a dynamic football team. They've got elite punt returner, elite kick returner, elite skill at the wide receiver position, collectively at the receiver position. Just dynamite, guys that can really make plays with the ball in their hand. Obviously, we've played this quarterback before, big, strong, athletic, can make all the throws across the board. And then on the flip side, defensively, again, the playmakers that they have on that side of the ball is really impressive. And the way they played at Oklahoma and the way they played really good defensive football throughout the season, schematically and positionally, really dynamic. And you see a team that, we've been there, you're a team that's building. And, it's like every week, I'm sure there's been, growth process that they've seen. And they've got a head football coach that's turned around two incredible football programs and built two great programs. So you see it's a team that's got great potential and great talent. And, there's times where they're playing elite football. And obviously they're just trying to find that consistency as like almost all teams are right now early in the season.
This will be the third of the four new teams from last year that you guys have faced. And you mentioned, first-year staff trying to build up. What have you seen, I guess, from those three, either the ones that you played or that you've seen on film, of trying to acclimate to not only a new league but a new level?
Yeah, I think sometimes when you throw in the two mixes of new league and new coaching staff, I think it's just unique. It's not easy. I think those are things that are Scott was there a year ago at Cincinnati, and then obviously what Coach Fritz is doing right now at Houston. I think the difference that you see probably this year in the trend is, what a transfer portal can do to maybe give you a quicker fix to being such a dangerous football team. And I think that's the one thing you see with this Houston team, and you saw it, especially how they played at Oklahoma, how they've played at times this year, man. They've got elite playmakers and elite talent, and it's just trying to find that consistency. So I think anytime there's a coaching change, you're trying to create the mentality that you want, and there's going to be a little bit of inconsistency at times. But, I'm so impressed with what Coach has done, and certainly what this young group has certainly got the ability to do.
Matt, you mentioned you faced Donovan Smith before. What kind of concerns does he cause you?
Yeah, I think all of them, just in terms of what an athletic, big, strong quarterback's got the ability to do. And, you know, I would just say his ability to make all the throws from you know, you're talking a 6'3", strong man, ability-wise, to make all the throws vertically down the field, sideline to sideline, and then you throw in the athleticism to extend plays. I mean, there's been a multitude of times in the first 4 games where he's got the ability to get out of the pocket, extend the play, and then find these dynamic playmakers down the field and create big plays. And I think those are the things, to me, that are just so impressive. And, you know, sometimes I feel like quarterbacks, you know, are scrambling to run. I think he does a great job of keeping his eyes and his vision down the field. And, man, when you can do that and create the big plays horizontally, those are big challenges, and he certainly presents that.
Coach, a guy like Bo Freeler, how have you seen, or what has he meant to this program, and how have you seen him grow as a leader and a captain?
Yeah, I mean, we've been really fortunate to have a lot of great players here at Iowa State during my time here, and I would say nobody has meant more to the team, and nobody has been a greater rallying point for our program than what Bo has done over the course of the last 4 years. You know, we don't survive last season without Bo's leadership. I think that safety room would tell you what he's done to build all those guys up around him. Bo's played since it's his true freshman year and came in and played critical on that 21 team. And I think he's just had this unbelievable, uncanny ability to bring his best every single day he steps into this facility. And he has been a staple of why we have been able to really grow over the last 4 years because of his leadership. And I would say, you know, it's his back that we've grown on, to be quite honest with you. And you know, for somebody to work through some of the physical challenges that he's had, and still be there every day, still be the first guy out to practice, still be the guy that's leading our football team when it gets hardest. It's a real joy to work with somebody like that. But we talk about transformational leaders. He'll be one of the all-time greats that we've ever had.
I look back at some of those longer runs from the game on Saturday, and a lot of them came when you had those 3 tight ends, Klotz, Moore, and Burkle, all grouped together. What about that look makes it so difficult to stop?
Yeah, you know, and again, I think every game is a little bit different personnel-wise. You know, I think any time that you have guys that are blockers in the game, you can create gaps. And, you know, the more gaps that you can create sometimes in the running game, the more challenging that can be. And so, you know, again, that's one of the things when you can have more tight ends than one in the football game, you can create multiple gaps to defend in the running game. And, you know, I think that's certainly what those guys have the ability to give you at times. I think the other thing that probably more than we ever have, man, we've been able to really throw the football with that group. So you can't just say, hey, you have 3 tight ends in the game and you're just trying to run the ball. Really, those guys, I think probably the most interesting part of what happened Saturday is the ability to throw the football with such success with those guys in the football game, and that part was really exciting.
And obviously talking about guys like Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll, obviously, you know, going into last season, you see kind of how Higgins gelled with Knoll last season in the offense, and now this season you've already seen the success they've had. What has it been like to kind of have those X receivers in your offense to kind of help back in the offense?
Yeah, you know, I think the thing that both of those guys, again, when you talk about having tight ends and then some receivers that can really be dynamic playmakers down the field, I feel like it allows you at times to create matchups. And, you know, what those 2 guys are. Those guys are a hard matchup. Those guys can play really anywhere. I mean, Jalen can play in the backfield. He can play in the slot. He can play outside. You know, Jaden can play in the slot. He can play single receiver. He can play, you know, he can play on the outside. And so really what those guys are is their flexibility, being so multiple in what they can do. It really makes them dynamic and allows us to be able to try to put them in position to make plays for us. And we're fortunate that those guys not only can do those things, but then at the end put a great finish to it and make the plays that they need to make to help our football team be successful.
Matt, when you look at Willie Fritz and the success he had at Tulane, and clearly now he's going through the trials and tribulations of instilling his own culture, revamping a program, to take you back, does it remind you or any sort of recollection of what maybe the challenges you went through when you got here after success at Toledo and just kind of building the program? What challenges do you recall, if there's anything unique or any opportunities from, you know,
I think anytime you see somebody take over a program, I mean, Coach Fritz certainly has had far greater success than you know, myself or our staff has ever had, just because he's done it so many places. I think he built a unbelievable program at Sam Houston and did a great job there. And then, the ability to then do it again at Tulane. And, man, you see the fabric of it right now. And like I said, I think he's so much more advanced than we were. Man, when I came in here really young and still trying to figure myself out at the time. And, I think you can see an evident plan. When you can be as good as they are early on special teams, which is really impressive. And, you got a foundational quarterback to build on, which is really impressive. And then just the way their kids play on defense, it's been impressive to watch. So, I think Coach Fritz, one of the really great coaches right now in our industry, and a guy that's proven it at every single level. And I think anytime you look at that, you look back to, how we started to try to build our football program here and be able to lay a great foundation, and you see a lot of similarities.
And I'm sure you've been asked this before, but just when you got here, what was Coach McCarney like, maybe as a mentor or someone, who reached out to you? Is there any bit of advice that stood out to you when you first got here?
No, I think, and I know we've talked about that a lot. It just, with what Coach has meant to us, and, just trying to find for me, when you get here, trying to find what is the history and how do you build on the positives and the negatives and the challenges that are around it. And I think Coach Mack, just knowing the longevity that he had here, knowing what he took over when he got here, and then his ability to take the program from where it was to obviously where he took it during his tenure was really impressive. And just the ability to find people that can be a guidepost. And not only has he been a guidepost, he's been an unbelievable mentor. He's meant the world to our alumni, and he's meant the world to our coaching staff and our kids here. And so anytime he's around our program, we cherish it and really appreciate what he's done.
Matt, I know many of your seasons you've successfully not fallen into the trap of big picture thinking, and you've prevented your players from doing that.
Right.
Your staff does that as well. With what tantalizing the big picture there is at 3-0 heading into the rest of the season, how easy is it with the group that you've assembled to continue to make sure that doesn't happen?
Yeah, I don't think it's easy. Man, it's not easy in the NFL. I just watched the Houston Texans play the Minnesota Vikings, and that wasn't easy. And, those are professionals, right? And we're all 49ers fans, and it's not easy for them right now. And, so, the reality of it is, sport is hard. College football is hard. The mentality to sustain success. It's hard in our business. It's hard in your business. It's hard in everybody's business. And so, that's why it's hard to win. And, can we continue to have a winning mentality? I don't know. You hope that you continue to pound away at the fabrics of what we build ourselves on. And that's, really great habits every day and great focus and coming in and trying to get better. But to say you can do that, or how easy is it, it's exhaustingly hard. And it'll only continue to be exhaustingly hard because it's hard to win football games. I think last week in the Big 12, one team, I think there were seven Big 12 games, and only one team won on the road. It's hard. It's hard to win football games anywhere. It's hard to win in this conference. It's hard to win on the road. So, it's all great lessons that you're trying to teach. And I think the one benefit that our kids do have is that, we have some veterans that have been through hard, and, they've been through success and failure, and, hopefully have enough wisdom to be able to learn from it and grow from it and be able to share that wisdom with their teammates along the way.
In the run game, the numbers suggest there's been growth. What have you seen as the growth, and where do you think it's still going?
Well, numbers are foolish, number one, so that doesn't mean anything. Winning is what you define as success. And then, the reality of it is, I still would have said we ran the ball probably as good as we had early in the season after the first two games. The rhythm we had to play was different, and we had to do what we needed to do to win the game. I think running in some hard moments have shown that, we've been able to have success. And, I think Saturday is what it is, but the one thing we had the ability to do at times is lean on the running game. They took away some of the passing game early, and, I thought it was awesome to see our guys then, had to run the ball and we were able to do that with some efficiency. But, I think the running game is one of those things in football. It's a constant work in progress. I think it's the one area that only continues to grow and get better, hopefully, as the season goes. And again, that's why the numbers piece of it, it's such a flawed, skewed way to look at it, because it's, man, did you run it when you needed to on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 or down in the goal line? Like, I just think that's the running game's a little bit can be skewed on how you look at it, but I at least feel like this group so far is growing in a positive direction. And we'll have to grow in a positive direction, because if you're going to be a great team in the Midwest, man, you're going to have to be able to run the football with consistency. And, can we keep doing that? Can we keep growing and getting better? That part will be really fun to watch this group.
Throughout the last couple of weeks, as you've approached the opportunity to set the wins record, you've given a lot of praise and talked about how much you love your former players, your current players, your staff members. They speak about how much they love you. How have you seen them kind of share their love for what you've given them an opportunity to accomplish in your tenure here?
Yeah, I would just say, we've been really fortunate to, have great people stay here and, for a long time and have longevity. And, we've had staff members that have stayed the course here and had the opportunity to leave. We've had staff members that have left and have made a profound impact along the way and still give back to the program. And I would say the same thing even from our players. The multitude of our players that have stayed the course here, didn't have to stay, left, on, doing great things, and still come back here. Those things mean a lot, and those things to me mean way more than winning and losing football games, to be honest with you. Creating culture, the word's cliche, but football family, those are things that I think has been really special about what we've been able to build here. And it's meant something to a lot of people, and you see our players not only having success on the football field, you see them doing what we really set out to do. And man, they're great fathers, they're great husbands, they're making a difference, they're changing and making an impact in so many communities out there. So to me, that's the greatest gift back that you could ever have, and really appreciate that more than any winning.
You're talking about the tight ends in the passing game. How encouraging or valuable can that be going forward, when I imagine the further you get into Big 12, the priority of those defenses is going to be Jalen taking them away?
Yeah, I think it's huge, and again, for those guys to kind of come into the picture the way they did on Saturday was really great. Ben's, I really feel like his health is almost back to 100%, which was huge. And, some of the plays that he made in critical moments were exceptional. And then, Tyler Moore, I thought, had a really great game and, played the most snaps, I think 37 snaps. Again, he was injured all last season. We couldn't use him. We thought he was going to have a big year a year ago. To be able to have him back, I think that's been really big for us. Steve-O's consistently been there for us along the way. And, geez, we think some other guy, Burkle has really come on and maybe hasn't had that moment yet, but has blocked really well for us and is a really dangerous pass catcher. So I think that those things, and Travis, is covering us enough. The more we've got guys that are options and we can create some matchups, the better we're going to be. And you're right. You have to know where Noel and you have to know where Higgins are, because they're dynamic players. And man, what does that do for everybody else along the way? And that can be big.
What was your evaluation of the O-line with the new faces in there?
I thought those guys did a really good job. I think I don't know if any O-lineman got more than like 38 snaps in the game. So there was a lot of guys that got a lot of reps, which was great for us. And, kind of what I think talked about a little bit Saturday is just what's it do for you is number one, it gives great evaluation. Number two, it creates great competition. And number three, you better come to practice or it's going to be hard to get on the field on Saturday. And to me, that's another way to create growth in your program, is have competition every day to get on the field. And so I really feel like it's going on in that offensive line room. It was great to see Jalen Travis, be healthy and get on the football field. I think did some really positive things for us, and I think we'll only continue to get healthier along the way. I think Trevor Burr's played exceptional. 3 games, and I feel like, he's playing great football and has a chance to be outstanding. And then Dalen Hazer, for Dalen, a guy that was right there on the verge of playing a year ago, and then you have a really tough incident in practice and, tears his Achilles, and now finally coming back, and to to be able to be on the field. I almost played 30 snaps on Saturday. You know, what a win for him, what a win for Iowa State. And, you know, boy, I think he's got a chance to be really special too. So, yeah, it's exciting. I think that group for the first time here, we've got some real competition. And, you know, again, I think that group's got to continue to improve if we want to play great football. You know, to be running game, passing game, any of it, it all starts up front. And if that group can continue to grow forward, they'll give us a chance to be a positive football team.
Coach Mauser's obviously had a successful first 3 games as a play caller, but he credits a lot of the offensive staff for some of that success. What have you seen from just that whole group over the course of the beginning of the season?
Yeah, and I'd say this, when we've been our best here, we've just had such a cohesive staff on offense. And, you know, again, there's the great credit there is Coach Mouse has done a great job of, like, man, number one, you know, investing greatly in our coaching staff. Number 2, you know, I think unifying their thought process to put the best product on the field on Saturday. And then, you know, I think you've got everybody in that room is an elite talent. You know, I mean, Coach Rolls brought some, you know, man, just great presence about himself, how he's coached the tailbacks. Obviously, his background of being a coordinator. Noah Pauley has been an offensive coordinator before. You know, what he's brought to the table the last 2 years in the passing game, and certainly the development of our receiving group. You know, Coach Clanton has, you know, been an offensive coordinator before. He's called plays, you know, what he's brought to that group. And, you know, I feel like, you know, that group in general, and then obviously Coach Waters being here, playing quarterback, knowing our system, being involved in it early, leaving, man, being involved in it the last 3 years. I just think that group gets it. I think they're a really tight-knit group. They do a lot together. And I think, you know, when you have great cohesion, there is no ego. And I think Coach Mouse has done a great job of, man, allowing those guys to be themselves, taking their great information, and at the end of the day, pairing it back and giving the offense the best vision to have success on Saturday. So, you know, that group I think will only keep growing forward, but there's some really dynamic coaches in there, and obviously they got a great leader right now. Thank you, Coach. All right, guys. Thank you.